What's your take on, like, do you think people are loyal today?
No.
They're not?
No, they aren't.
Why is that?
What you look at me that way?
No.
I think she specifically looked at you and said, like,
No,
yeah, people aren't loyal today. What are you talking about? Case in point. It's okay, we can. Hi, welcome to Mind the Gap, your backstage pass to witnessing the collision of different generations. I'm your host Shivam Sood. I'm a millennial and I run a startup where I have the pleasure of working with many colleagues who belong to Gen Z, others who are millennials like myself and even beyond. In this podcast, we have a free-form discussion where we try and peel back the layers of the generational gap that might exist between us. Today's episode is going to be a fun one because we are talking all things dating. And if I had to think about a topic where the gap between Gen Z and millennials is the widest, this might be it. To make things even more interesting, we have three of my Gen Z colleagues on the panel, Rafi, Adya and Chavi. I'm sure they'll be opening my eyes to a lot of things today, and maybe I can do the same with my millennial perspective. No matter where you fall on the generational divide, you will expand your horizons a bit as we discuss how Gen Z and millennials navigate the world of love, dating and even hooking up. So sit back, get comfy and join us as we mind the gap together. So I think first off, we're going to talk about hookup culture. So Rafi, what's your take on like hookup culture and dating today, and your perspective on commitment, intimacy, and long-term relationships?
So personally, I was fine with it at a point. Now the older I'm getting, the longer, and I feel like it fully messed up my head when it comes to relationships, especially because I was in a long-term relationship before that, and it would just completely mess with my head, because I'd see all my friends doing it and I'd be like, okay, but why can't I, right? And I've realized because of that culture, like every time you go out, everyone's like, someone or the other is getting with each other. It messed with my head to that certain extent where I'm like, what is the point of being in a relationship when you can just do whatever you want, whenever you want? So it messes up the intimacy, everything, and your ideas of a long-term relationship, and loyalty in my eyes also.
So you mentioned that a lot of your friends are doing it today, right?
Yeah.
So do you think like it's like sort of prevalent like with all your peers and everything?
Yeah. Anyone who's single is doing it at the end of the day, right? They're hooking up with someone or the other. But
is that necessarily bad? Like, is it a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's a bad thing.
But then you're saying it has an impact on like
I wouldn't say it's a good thing either. That's right. Okay. Like, do it if you want to. Don't do it if you don't want to.
Got it.
Right? It's not a great thing. It's not a horrid thing either, right? I would say I'm in the middle with it. Like, you know what? It's fine. Do it. Right. But personally, now it's not for me. Personally.
Great. Adya, what's your take on it? Like,
I think that hookup culture places a lot of emphasis on sexual, casual encounters, and what that does is it can really make both men and women feel objectified. So when you're engaging in a relationship which is based on like the entire foundation of it is that you're going to have sex with them, then what comes at forefront is sexual desirability and physical appearance. So I think that really hampers your own understanding of your self-worth. Now you're going to focus on how you look, the way you carry yourself, and if you're able to please the opposite sex with the way you carry yourself and everything. And that kind of screws up with your self-image a lot, because we already have a society that keeps on projecting these conventional ideas of what beauty is and what is considered desirable. And on top of that, you are participating in a system like hookup culture, which is again designed to make you feel like you're not worth anything more than like your body. I think relationship building is very important. And it's a skill that you learn when you're actually in a long-term relationship and you try to create something meaningful with your partner. What happens is that you learn how to, manage conflicts. You learn the ability to compromise and empathize with the partner. And whatever you learn, you take that to the next relationship.
Yeah, great point. But I think one of the things that you also said, and I feel like we take it from like at least my time was that obviously like hookup culture wasn't that prevalent. It's also like, I mean, it's good to hear that like some of you feel that it's something that you would not indulge in, or it's something that you probably are not for. But I think like you had mentioned, like a lot of your friends like sort of do it. I think one of the perspectives that we wanted to understand also today was like this generation really believe in it, right? And they feel like they normalize it. Whereas like at least like you guys are of the opinion that it's not cool or it's not normal to like sort of indulge in it.
I mean,
but I think like I don't know, like I mean I don't know if you feel that there is also like a side to hookup culture being normalized in today's day and age, because at least in my time it wasn't, right? It was like, I mean, it was not like very common that like people just like hook up if they're not dating, for example.
I think it's same for me as well. Like I'm fine if like anyone else is doing, I won't judge you, but personally it is not for me. I feel that if you lack commitment, like you don't want to commit to someone, you end up hooking up with XYZ.
What's your take on the fact that people do it? So like, I mean, okay, maybe you guys don't like sort of believe in it or indulge in it, but like I'm sure you have friends and like like people that in your network who do it. What's your take on that? Like
I don't judge them.
Like she said she doesn't judge them. What do you?
Yeah,
what would you do?
Similarly, I don't judge them, but I think people do. I think people do it because they want to be able to explore their options. They want to like take. They don't really think that sex is a big deal, and so they think that they can explore that part of themselves as much as they want to. And I think that's fine, as long as you're taking all the necessary precautions and you're.
So you think sex is a big deal?
What?
No, I'm saying, do you think sex is a big deal?
Personally,
so you're an old soul. Because a lot of people don't today, right? Like, I mean,
I'm
I
sure.
don't. Yeah.
I think.
Like, I feel like today, like that.
I don't mean that sex is a big deal, as in like the act is a big deal. What I'm trying to say is that I would.
I mean, it's not taboo, right? Like, so for example, just to add to what you're saying, see, like,
no.
like 10, 15 years ago, like it was a big deal in the sense that like people used to hold hands. Like I remember, like the most we would do like in high school or like at some point would like hold somebody's hand, and that would be a big deal in itself. Ki, oh, like I held a hand. But today, like I feel like it's like that's not even counted. Like it's not even a deal that if you like I guess make out with somebody, and it's like only I feel like when you have sex with somebody, you would even like tell people about it, right? So I think it's just becoming less. But yeah, sure.
That's what I meant. But on a personal level, it could mean something else, like
emotionally probably.
Yeah,
but
emotionally.
Like, yeah, but not in the sense that.
No.
Shit, with my friends, I encourage them. I say go for it. Because it's entertainment for me at the end of the day. Because it always ends with some drama or the other.
Of
so
course.
I get my entertainment also. So yeah, I encourage them. Go for it. Have fun. Then I get to make fun of them also. I get to say the, like the favorite line you can ever tell your friend is I told you so. I get to say it all the time.
Let's talk about the influence of technology today in dating, such as the rise of apps like Tinder, Hinge, and Bumble. I'm sure everyone's used it. So what's Chavi, what's your take on it? Like personally, and also what you overall feel about it.
So personally, I've never been on such apps, but when it comes to technology and how it has impacted, I feel that we have like a lot more options, easy access, which results to low effort. For example, it was
for women or men.
I can only say for myself, but I feel that I've like.
For men, it's a lot of effort, by the way.
For me, it wasn't.
We have to swipe 100 times to even find like a relatable match.
It isn't for
So
women, I feel.
My finger's always hurting. Like, I mean, I'm saying. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So when I was in college and I came and I had like a lot of friend requests from all these college boys, and once I was so bored, I was like, let me talk to him. And I talked to him for one day and I was like, dude, I'm bored. I just blocked him. So
the friend request on social media or?
On social media.
On social media.
So that's what I'm saying. There's low effort. There's like,
You can back out whenever you want.
Yeah.
So you guys again like feel that somebody needs to like do the traditional way of coming up to you, asking you out, and like making that effort of like getting to know you without just like I said, like sending a DM, for example.
Yeah. I think it should be more in person. But again, coming back to how it is now, of course, technology has changed a lot and it has given us a lot more options and easy access. So it also has an advantage. Like people are not comfortable coming up to you in person all the time.
Yeah, because if you're if you're like a little introverted, like it's hard for people to make that effort of like, you know, breaking the ice and talking to like the opposite sex. It's not always easy, and for a lot of guys, it's harder, right? Like
So
and it's easier to send a message and a DM being like, hey, like, you know, I'm interested or I'm a crush on you, like versus I feel.
True.
Yeah. What do you feel?
I've never used any like dating app. Tinder, never had to so far.
It's good to know this panel is very old soulish, like
no,
very
old soulish.
Like, maybe I should give the Gen Z perspective. You guys give the millennial perspective.
But I still use Instagram, everything. So for me, like the technology would be like, let's say Snapchat and everything, where you can just send a quick picture of yourself to like your significant other. I've never had to use it to find anyone, right? But
how did you meet your girlfriend?
That's a separate case.
Story for another time, another podcast.
No, through friends, mutual friends.
Okay, basically. So not an Insta DM?
No, not at all. No. Through mutual friends. And so for me, my experience with technology and dating would be sending someone reels, would be like, you know, snapping them, sending pictures of
So it's more retention marketing than like new customer acquisition.
Yeah. Basically. But yeah, so that, I mean, I've never had to use Hinge or anything. So I don't fully know how it works. I know how it works now because like my best friend, my favorite thing to do is go on his Hinge and just start texting random girls from his phone. Just to mess with him. That's the experience I have with like dating apps and everything. So
it's more entertainment for you.
It's more entertainment for me than
your friends.
Actually being serious. Yeah.
Got it. Adya, what about you? Like, have you used any apps for dating or?
Yeah, I've used Hinge and Bumble a few times.
And what's your perspective?
And the technology is, I mean, I think it has really improved. Now you, on Hinge, you get matched to people on the basis of this algorithm that they have, which somehow detects how compatible you are with somebody and matches you with them. And they also give you prompts on your profile. If you add, like if you answer those prompts, it kind of turns your profile into a really like a realistic glimpse into your personality. And you know, you were talking about icebreakers. What they've done for that is when you are texting them, you actually get prompts for the first time that they'll actually give you icebreaker prompts that you can use to start a conversation. So yeah, technology has definitely made it more easier and convenient for people to like date. But I think on a personal level, there are like I've discovered that there are major downsides to it. One of them being that when you rely on texting too much, you kind of don't know how to hold a meaningful conversation in person. So the art of holding a meaningful conversation is completely lost. You can show up on a date and sometimes you might have nothing to say because you're just like, you know, our generation specifically, I think we don't know how to communicate that well in person. And I personally write really great texts, but in person, I think I don't translate that well.
Amazing point, yeah, great.
Well, for you, how would you say it changed? Like growing up with barely any technology.
Yeah.
And
no, actually, you know, like surprisingly, we were the first, like at least millennials were the first, like early adopters of technology. A lot of people, like I guess, like you know, sort of. I mean, they know that, but I guess they don't really they take it for granted.
I'm saying growing up, you didn't have like the.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like growing up, we were the first guys who was probably on like a AIM messenger or like, you know, an MSN messenger. We were the first guys to use Facebook. You know, I had Facebook before like anyone had Facebook all over the world. You know, I was like one of the first guys on Facebook in the US. It was very interesting for us to also, you know, get to know people and message people, like you said, like, you know, on these apps. Like, and honestly, like one of my first girlfriends, like I asked her out on MSN Messenger. You know, so even like I think when I was 17 or 18 and it was so funny because like to your point, like I asked her out and it was all good and we were in a relationship and the next day we met in school and she didn't even talk to me. You know, so like we met in the canteen and she's like, I'm like, I'm like, okay, hi, like so you know, like it started like that. But yeah, like I agree with your point as well, like, you know, on how like it's you know, when you get really good at texting people, it's very hard to maintain that offline. Before I think technology also came, like I think probably in my early like teens or whatever, it was obviously like, meeting somebody offline, or like, you meet at a common place, or it was technology wasn't like there. These apps weren't there, yes, there was a messenger where you could only message people you knew.
Yeah.
But I think today what's changed is also you're messaging strangers. That wasn't there. So I think the only difference between then and now is that now you can meet people you don't know. If I know you or if I know of you, then yes, I have your BBM or I have your A messenger or whatever, I am messenger. But I think today it's like you're meeting people that you don't know, and you can connect with somebody you have never met before or you never crossed paths with. So I think that is amazing.
But would you say it's a good or a bad thing?
It's good because if you want to expand your horizon, especially during COVID, I think it was very hard for people to meet other people.
Yeah.
So I think it was good because of that, but not, I think, like you said, if you're looking for a very meaningful relationship offline, and you need to be able to connect, technology can help through an extent, but not really, like, I guess, but then again, like, I've met some very good people on apps as well.
But maybe you had those skills, right? You can talk to people in person really well.
Do you think the skills came because when you were younger there was no texting, just to, like, try and get into a relationship? Would you say your skills have become better, like, in person because of that?
See, honestly speaking, I was a very shy guy. Like growing up, I might seem like, somebody who's very outgoing, but I was very shy growing up. Like, I wasn't like this. Like, I could never talk to girls. Like, I would always, like, I wish there were apps back then, where you could easily text somebody without, like, being able to, like, talk to them and confront them in person. I think it's just over time, like, obviously your social skills develop, and, like, I went to the US for like college, so I think that really helped, like, obviously. But yeah, like, it wasn't always like that, and I wish these apps existed back then versus today. But yeah, like, it depends from person to person, right? Like, I have a lot of friends who are not very social, who don't like speaking, to somebody in person. I actually like that interpersonal relationship when I speak to somebody, but it really depends. But yeah, like, all valid points, and I think it's good to know what Adi also said earlier, was that, like, today people really value that, like, they value that interpersonal thing, which is meeting somebody offline, and I think that is amazing. Let's touch upon some relationship expectations today, then versus now, obviously. Importance of privacy, the importance of space in a relationship. So what are some of the relationship expectations you have, let's say, from your girlfriend? And how important is space?
Space is very, very important. Like, if you're angry, you need, like, your own time to, like, calm down, and, just speak to them after, so that it doesn't lead to a bigger fight. And you aren't, like, keeping your anger to yourself, because if there's no space, then also you don't want to, like, shout at your girlfriend or something too bad also, right? So if the more space you have, the more time you'll have to, like, calm yourself down, think of it from a logical perspective, and be able to, like, take it the best way forward. So space is largely important. So is privacy, though. Privacy, like, you need...
Privacy also means, like, for example, would you check your girlfriend's phone, for example?
If she gives me reason to, 100%. I'm not denying that.
And would you be okay with her checking your phone?
If I give a reason to, sure. 100%.
So you're okay with...
Yeah.
Like,
I'm fine with
her
that.
checking your emails, your Insta DMs.
Well, I mean, emails is like...
Okay, maybe emails is like...
Maybe for you. But for me, as a 20-year-old, that's... who
You're going to
checks?
find a lot of sales emails there, I'm sure, like...
Yeah. No, she can go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So no Insta DMs, or
She can check it.
She can check
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You have nothing to hide.
Nothing to hide. Well, but nowadays, a lot of relationships, like, you give your account to other people also.
Really?
You give your account.
Do you guys still have, like, that email? Again, I don't know how much you guys use email, but back in the day, people used to have, like, if you're dating somebody...
Google Hangouts.
No, you used to have the same email ID, like, yeah.
Never.
Like,
It has to be unique, right?
like, no, like, people used to have the same email ID. Let's say, like, Shiv
Like, using one ID.
Shiv and Shivani at
Oh my
gmail.com,
God.
for example.
Oh my
you know, like,
God,
it
no,
was-
God, no.
You guys have that?
No.
No.
Oh, cool.
But-
I used to find it very cringe. Like,
It is.
I think you probably did it.
no, I never did. I never did. But I'm just saying, people. So you
Yeah.
guys don't have that.
No, but
you don't have the same Insta
Instead,
handle.
what we have is where you can, like, with a lot of relationships, like, someone's girlfriend will have, like, if I'm dating someone, she'll have my account. if she asks for it. Like I have no problem, like, you know, giving her the account or anything. Also mainly, but like I like having the other person's account, not to like go through stuff, but like I like watching their reels and stuff. It's very entertaining at times, because then you get like a different, like, you know, algorithm and everything. So that's entertaining for me.
What about you, Chavi? How important is space in a relationship, and talk about a little bit about trust in a relationship as well.
I think space, of course, is very, very important. I feel that if you're fine with not having that space, it means that you're fine with losing your individuality, which is not okay with me. And then when it comes to privacy, I feel that, as Rafi said, I am not fine if my partner is asking me to give my account to him or the credentials just so he can, you know, scroll the reels. Like, I don't know, I feel that my Instagram or my profile is so private to me. I am not even comfortable sharing my Spotify list to playlist to anyone, because I feel that it's so intimate and so, for me, it's just for me. And when it comes to trust, for example, checking phone, if my partner is giving me a reason to check his phone, I think I would rather leave. If you're giving me a reason, there's something wrong, right?
So you've never checked your partner's phone?
I have never.
Never. And he's never checked your phone?
No, never.
Got it. So that's a deal breaker for you if somebody
Gives you the reason.
Gives you the reason.
No, but there's, I've noticed a lot of times, especially in my last relationship, where you guys are like so blindly in love, where you're delusional at times, right? Like clearly there's the saying, love is blind or something like that. It makes you blind also, right? But like there's also times where you want that clarity also. Like you might think they're giving you reason, but at the end of the day, if you think they're giving you reason and then you check their phone, right?
That's the last thing you would like to.
But I'm saying, and you find nothing, then what?
Maybe he deleted it.
Maybe there's that, but maybe he didn't, right? So there's also that, but then at that point, like, are you willing to lose like a relationship based on a hunch?
I'm fine with that. Like, if you're giving me a reason and you're like, when you're clarifying it, it's not convincing enough.
Yeah.
I think it's not for me.
Fair enough. But if they have proof, then what? Like, if they tell you, go through my phone, see what you want, then you wouldn't. Mess to the head.
Like always.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, Adya, what about you? Tell us about your dating experiences, or like, you know, how important privacy and space is for you in your relationship.
I think I take space, and especially space, very seriously, so much so that I haven't been in a relationship for a really long time. And there's a reason behind it, and I think a very well thought out reason, because I think that when you're in your 20s, it's a pivotal period of time in your life where you really do a lot of soul searching, and you're trying to come to terms with who you are, who you're going to be, and you're really working on your self-identity and self-image, you know, planning out your career and everything. Up till I was 18, every decision that I've ever made was influenced by my parents. It does. I mean, you don't realize it, but when you grow older, you realize that a lot of things that you're doing, a lot of decisions that you're making are 100% influenced by the way your parents brought you up. So after 18, when you finally kind of understand yourself and have your own identity, which is separate from your parents, and you step out into the world, which is basically your early 20s, I wouldn't want to be in a relationship or date, because I think when you're with a partner, every decision that you make in your life passes through a screening test of whether will he be okay if I shift to a different city, or if I move abroad, or if this career move will affect him in this manner. Whatever you do, I mean, people like to say that it's not going to change anything, but personally I feel that it always passes through that test. And I don't want to be in that position where when I finally, you know, gotten the opportunity to be myself and do things according my own preferences, for that to be influenced by now a partner instead of my parents. So yeah, I.
But do you
don't-
think you would always want your, like you said, your parents to influence your decisions, or like you would want your partner to influence your decisions? Like, at some point it has to change, right? At some
Yeah.
point it has to be about your partner and not your parents.
Obviously. Even now, it's not about my parents. I just said up till 18 it was. And now it's finally about me. So I'm gonna take my time before I jump into that.
What would you say about all of this stuff?
I think it was very different again to what it was then and what it is now. I think then again I'm going to go back to emails. I think back in the day people used to, check emails. Like I've had my emails checked, obviously.
Would you ever check someone's email?
Not by myself, but again, like I feel like, it's like a tit for tat thing, right?
Yeah,
Like,
fair.
but again, I don't think like I've ever been in a relationship where somebody else has, given me a reason to check their emails. I think it's always been the other way around.
Yeah.
I think today is changed, right? Because I think today, like I obviously think very differently. Even though being a millennial, like I think, because of all that life experience, that or life, what it teaches you eventually. Today I feel very differently. Like, Today, like I don't think I would go through that trouble of checking someone's phone, even if I suspected. I think my mental peace and like my own peace of mind is more important. So, and if I'm like, even like, let's say if something is fishy or whatever, for me, I'd rather not know and just be in that bubble.
So you're like fine with that? Living in that bubble?
Because see, I think when you're younger, it's different, right? Like, because I think when you're at your age, like, you want to know everything. You want to find true love and like, you want to find like, that one relationship that's going to last forever. I think with age, you just want your peace of mind. Whoever it is with. Like, I think it's about your, like, your peace more than like the other person, right? Like, you realize in life that like, look, even if it is, I just don't want to know. I just want my peace of mind. It is what it is. Let me be my bubble. It's just like, you just...
And
So
which-
basically, what
just
you're
put it
trying to
under the
say
rug.
is the younger you are, the more delusional in that
No, I think
aspect.
you have that idea of
Yeah, yeah.
life, which
Because
I
it-
feel is, which kind of doesn't exist, because life teaches you a lot of things, like as you grow. Like, and I'm not saying true love doesn't exist or it exists. It's just that, like, as you, like, sort of become older, like, other things become more important, right? Like you were talking about, like, how, like, it's about yourself, like, prioritizing yourself. I think with age, it teaches you that, right? Like, it talks about the fact that, like, today, like, I'm important, fine, my partner's as important, but, if something is happening on the side, it's fine. Like, like, I don't want to know, I want to live in that bubble. Like, it's just, with age, you're like, let it go. So, one of the first questions that props up in a lot of people's minds is, have you specifically ever flirted with somebody while being in a relationship?
I have. Yeah, in the past.
I'm not going to ask you if you've, like, been disloyal, but have you, like, flirted? Like, even if it's just casual flirting and not
100%.
Yeah.
And
do you think it's a good or a bad thing?
It's a mix of both, in my opinion. Can be good, can be bad. Depends on the context of it also.
Bad for your girlfriend, good for you? Or...
Bad for both also then.
No, so what's your overall take? Lastly, what's your overall take on loyalty today? Do you feel people are loyal in general? And I'm not talking about specifically you, but like, let's say your friends and people you know.
A lot of people aren't.
A lot of people aren't loyal today.
Yeah, not at all. It's become,
And do you think there is a defining reason for it, or is there an underlying reason why that's the case today?
hookup culture?
Okay, so coming back to our first point.
Yeah, because they see it happen and then they're like, oh shit, I'm missing out.
So it's more FOMO than anything else.
Yeah. More that. A lot more of that, yeah.
What do you think? What's your take on loyalty?
The flirting part, I think...
No, just generally, what's your take on, like, do you think people are loyal today?
No.
They're not?
No, they aren't.
Why is that?
But you look at me that way.
No.
I think he specifically looked at you and said, like, people aren't loyal today. What are you talking about? Case in point. It's okay, we can edit this, don't worry.
No, that's
No,
fine.
we're not editing it, I'm just telling you. Sorry, go ahead.
No, but I have seen a lot of my friends and people aren't, because again, comes back to the same thing that we have a lot more options and so much of exposure to boys or girls or whatever. So they can't control themselves. I feel that loyalty is an issue. And flirting while being in a relationship.
Yeah, have you ever flirted with someone?
No, I haven't.
Not even casually?
No.
Lies.
I haven't. When I say I haven't.
Yes.
So, yeah. But I think it's fine. If it happens, it's fine. But I
So you don't have a
haven't.
problem with your boyfriend like flirting with some other girl?
Don't.
You know that was
No.
coming, right?
Let's ask you now, huh? Have you ever flirted in a relationship?
Yeah. You.
Yeah, casually, yes. Of course.
Casually.
Yeah.
What do you think about loyalty though?
Then versus now?
Yeah.
I think, okay, you know, I feel my take on loyalty is it's from person to person.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a generational thing. I'm sure, like, you know, like cheating and being disloyal was always around. Like, it's not like a generational thing where only people are disloyal today. I think it's easier to, like you said, you know, to be more sort of promiscuous today versus what it was back in the day. Again, because of access and
Yeah.
all the things that we've discussed today. But again, I think it's a person-to-person thing. Like, if you know you want to be promiscuous, I'm sure that there were ways to do it back then
Yeah.
also, and it was more secretive. Today, I think people do it more openly,
Yeah.
and they're more shameless about it versus how it used to be, and used to be more of a taboo back in the day. I think today is not so much.
Because also now open relationships are
Yes,
becoming
and that was never a
huge
thing. Yeah, like it
I
was-
could never, personally, I could never do it, but
Yeah.
that's
Absolutely, and
becoming
and I
huge
think that's
now.
one of the things we haven't talked today
Yeah.
about it today. But like I think like today open relationships so normal, like it's normalized versus like 10, 15 years ago where like I had not even heard of the name
Yeah.
of of the term actually, like of what an open relationship is. So yeah, let's get a last word in. What's your take on?
When I was younger, I used to think that fairy tales are real and people stay together and they really mean it when they say they love you. But as I've grown older and I've witnessed actually not my friends' relationships with people who are a lot more older than me, people in their 30s or 40s or even their 50s seem to be a lot more disloyal than I had thought, because I used to think that if you're married, you kind of get locked in, you're not going to cheat anymore or you're not going to be disloyal, but it's completely opposite. It seems like the more you're locked into a relationship or you're under an institution,
more likely
you
to
tend to cheat more. So that's especially women from my parents' generation were, just taking up the traditional housewife role, and while the man would go out and earn a living and provide for her, it was all about like we had very clearly defined roles back then, which I think kind of helped in managing a relationship, because a man knew that these are a set of responsibilities that he has to fulfill, and then there are a set of responsibilities that a woman has to fulfill, and that somehow kind of helped them balance out the relationship really well. Okay, so now that women have started shifting to the workforce, they've started questioning the responsibilities that they have to fulfill in a relationship, and there's a lot of shift in what they expect and what men expect as well, because I've seen that a lot of men actually prefer being stay-at-home dads now, and that is actually not socially acceptable even now, but still a lot of people are doing it. So I think what's happening right now is that we have two people in a relationship where they don't have clearly defined roles. So now we need to actually sit down with our partner and hash out exactly what we want from that relationship, what we want their role to be in the relationship, and what we are willing to offer. But I think what happens usually is that now nobody wants to give in anymore. It's like, I want this, and if you're not going to give this to me, then I'm just going to walk out of that relationship. So yeah, it's going to take a little time before we as a generation learn to meet, in the middle.
So I think I'll give you a different perspective of like how men think, right? Like I think back in the day when like I guess growing up, like men was always like, okay, like like you said, defined gender roles, like okay, like the man goes to work, the women stay at home. Even if you're not married, let's say you're dating, like most like girls weren't working, they were probably just like looking forward to getting married and stuff like that. I think there was also a lot of stability when it came to being in a relationship, right? Today I feel like, and again this is probably just my opinion, but I feel because like women are in the workforce, and there's nothing against it, but I'm just saying women are in the workforce, men also feel that there is a lot of volatility with what they want, because there's more choice, there's independence. So I think women in general don't take a lot of shit today, right? When it comes to like just being in a dead-end relationship, because they have choice, they also know what they want, what they need. So I think because of that, like there is also like they easily can escape a relationship or leave a relationship versus back in the day where that was never an option. And this is probably coming back again to the whole technology thing where it's now easier to meet people. So because of these gender roles changing, women in the workforce, they're making money, they're independent, they're more social, they're going out, and plus they have access to technology today. They easily will leave a relationship versus like how it used to be where they would not leave a relationship so easily because it was harder to meet people that you actually connect with or you like. So I think that kind of has flipped today versus how it used to be because of the time.